Shalom, shalom. This week's Parsha is Parshat Yitro. And what a Parsha it is. We have in here the revelation of God, the receiving of the Torah of the Ten Commandments. And this is a pivotal moment. This is the moment that really establishes our nation of every single person at Sinai, having this personal revelation from God and a clarity and a connection that connect us for all time. We're told before it, though, very interesting story about Yitro, Moshe's father-in-law, who comes, makes the journey because he hears everything that God has done for Moshe and for the nation, and he is moved, and he felt the need to leave, even though he's a priest in his hometown. He packs up Moshe's wife, who Moshe had sent away, and Moshe's two sons, Gershom and Eliezer, and he makes the journey to go see Moshe in the desert. And he arrives there, and when he gets there, it's very interesting. We're told that he announces, "I am Yitro, your father-in-law," and he comes with the wife of Moshe, his daughter, and the two sons. And when it gives us the narration of the story, it tells us that Yitro and Sipporah, Moshe's wife, were coming, and it says Gershom, who Moshe named because he was a Gershom, he was a stranger in a foreign land, and that's why he named his first son Gershom, acknowledging that he was in a place for a long time that he did not belong. He did not feel like he fit there. And his other son's name Eliezer, and he says because Eli is God and Ezer is help, that God helped him. God had saved him from the hand of Paro, from the sword, because Paro wanted to kill him. And he acknowledged, and he was grateful. He had gratitude and appreciation, and he acknowledges God's saving him and saving his life and coming to that point of being able to have his second son, Eliezer. And as it goes on, Yitro comes, and Moshe invites him into the tent and tells him every single detail about what happened in Egypt and how God saved him, and every travail, says every little thing. Moshe was telling Yitro everything. They really bonded. They had this love and connection and appreciation. And we know that Yitro, when he saw Moshe, when he had come the next day, he was just all day and all night between the people, giving them counsel on what to do, different things. And of course, Yitro told him he cannot do that. He will destroy the nation. He will destroy himself. And he told him to set up the hierarchy of courts and how to deal with it and all this. And all this information, in addition, I left something out, was when Moshe told him all the things that had happened. And it says, Vayichad Yitro. Yitro literally was trembling with, he couldn't believe it, the joy and the happiness and the way that he acknowledged and saw and felt God, that he felt inspired at that moment, that he wanted to bring sacrifices to God. And they made this whole meal, and the Zikanim came, and they had bread, and they ate together, and they rejoiced in God's salvation. And that was really a high point. Now, all this is told to us before Matan Torah. All of this is told to us before the giving of the Torah. And it seems just to be a story that it happened to happen. And some people say it happened after, and then it's not in chronological order, but I tend to believe it happened before. And I happen to think that there's a very good reason God makes different things happen at different times for different reasons that are extremely necessary, time relevant. And this was a time where they were going to be at Har Sinai, where God was going to give this massive revelation through Moshe to the people, and we needed this interaction with Yitro for so many reasons. What I want to take a look at for a minute is Moshe, the leader, and why he needed to experience this whole episode with Yitro before Matan Torah. Why I think. And I think that this is the thing. When he left Yitro and he went to go help and do his mission for the nation and take them out of Egypt and before everything began. He's been basically on his own through this whole thing. He has just been dealing with God and his mission and the people. He's been active, as we see in the narrative, day and night, just doing for everybody else. And he didn't have time to be a person. You have to remember, even though he had his brother and his sister, we had a close relationship with, they had their spouses and their families, and they go back at the end of the day to be with their families. And Moshe, all he's doing is constant work, constantly his job. And when we do that, even on Moshe, on the highest level, you lose your own sense of self. You lose your own identity with who you are when you're just an instrument for other people. And so Yitro came, and it says, it reminds us of exactly of Moshe and his story and his background through telling us why the children were named what they were named, because it doesn't really belong there at all. But the reason why it's so is because when they come, all of this, it brings back to Moshe all of his past about what he went through and who he is and his wife and his children, and then going through the whole entire story of everything that happened, that he went through the details from start to finish with Yitro. For him, this was necessary. This was therapeutic. This was a time where he stopped to tell over everything. So he's going through in his mind, and he sees how all of the details of his life finally came together for this very special moment to bring him on this highest level, where there's going to be this revelation like never ever before on Mount Sinai. And people need to reconnect and have a self identity and be strong in that. For anytime there's going to be some sort of revelation or big opportunity, that you don't misconnecting it with the essence of who you are, so you get the fullness of that. And Moshe was the leader. Moshe, in the end, as we know, the nation couldn't even stand to hear the whole entire revelation. He had to be the one really to carry all of that. And in order for him to do his job in the best way possible as Moshe Rabbeinu, who was on the highest level, he had to reconnect. He had to reconnect and remember who he was and his journey, and he understood how it all made sense coming to this moment. And I think in life, it's very important. It's so important for us as people that we get so busy, and sometimes we're doing so many things for other people, and we forget to stop and breathe and go over our story. Talk it out, write it out, be with somebody like a Yitro was to him. This relationship was something beyond special. We can see it from the words, the love and the connection that they had with one another, and him trying to give over the story from the essence of his, because he knew that Yitro would understand. He felt secure. He didn't feel like vulnerable. Everything was able to come out where he can express himself as who he truly was, and let it all flow in a way that he wasn't only telling Yitro, he was reviewing for himself and coming together as a whole human being, able to be a vessel for the reception of this unbelievable moment that was never to be duplicated. Hopefully we'll have something like that in the future, but it was something else. And that is the experience that made him ready for it. All those details were very important for him to go over, for him to then rejoice and be grateful and thank in gratitude to Hashem. And that high level of simcha, of joy, really was something that brings you up to the next level. When you finally understand where your whole life led to this very moment, and it all comes clear, that clarity is a whole new level of joy and openness to receiving much, much more. Shabbat Shalom.